Welcome back to the Lifespan Lab, the podcast where we break down the fascinating journey of human development. Today, we're unpacking the massive transition from early adulthood all the way through late adulthood, diving into the core concepts covered in Lily French's textbook on lifespan development. I know you're all curious about how we age, but hey, I got you covered. Let's dive straight into the big question. Let's go. First up, let's talk about our bodies. What actually happens to our physical health during early and middle adulthood? Well, early adulthood roughly ages to 20 to 40, something like that, 6, 7, is typically our physical peak. This is when our strength, reaction time, and sensory abilities are at their absolute sharpest. But as we transition into middle adulthood, ages 40 to 65, 6, 7, the subtle signs of the subtle signs of aging starts creeping in. Physical changes. We begin to see a gradual decline in visual acuity and hearing, especially high-pitched sounds. Metabolism slows down, which can lead to weight changes and hairs like thinning or either turning gray. The big shifts. For women, middle adulthood brings menopause, the sensation of a menstrual cycle. For men, there's a more gradual decline in testosterone levels. While this sounds daunting, individual choices like regular exercise and a solid diet play a massive role in how smoothly the transition happens. Moving from the body to the brain, let's look at cognitive changes. There's a classic debate about whether we get wiser or slower as we age. To understand this, psychologists break intelligence down into two categories: fluid and crystallized. Fluid intelligence. This is your ability to think logically, reason abstractly, and solve novel problems on the fly independent of acquired knowledge. Think of it like your brain processing speed. Research shows fluid intelligence peaks in early adulthood and progressively declines as we get older. Crystallized intelligence. On the flip side, this is the accumulation of knowledge, facts, vocabulary, and skills that you gain through education and life experience. The great news, crystallized intelligence steadily increases or holds stable through middle adulthood and even into late adulthood. So, while a 25-year-old might solve a complex digital puzzle faster, a 50-year-old brings a massive library of experiential knowledge to the table. Now, let's talk relationships and identity through the lens of legendary theorist Erik Erikson. He identifies specific psychological crises we might navigate at each stage of life, Early adulthood, intimacy versus isolation. During our 20s and 30s, the primary focus is on forming deep, committed relationships with others. Success leads to comfortable, long-term relationships and a sense of safety, care, and commitment. If an individual fails to establish these connections, they risk experiencing profound loneliness and isolation. Middle adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. Once we hit our 40s, the focus shifts. Generativity is all about making your mark on the world. It's the desire to nurture things that will outlast you, like raising children, mentoring coworkers, or contributing to your community. The opposite is stagnation, feeling disconnected, unproductive, and stuck in a rut. As we enter late adulthood, age 65 and beyond, our social world changes dramatically. Retirement kicks in and roles shift, but social relationships remain absolutely critical to survival and well-being. Interestingly, older adults don't necessarily want more friends. They want better ones. According to socio-emotional selectivity theory, as people realize their time is limited, they systematically prune their social networks to focus on deeply meaningful, emotionally close relationships, mostly family and long-term friends. These tight-knit social connects provide essential emotion support, reduce the risk of depression, and strongly link to better cognitive function and cycle longevity. Finally, how do we navigate late adulthood successfully? How do we cope with age-related changes? One of the most powerful frameworks for this is the selective optimization with compensation SOC theory, developed by Paul and Margaret Balls. It breaks down into 3 simple strategies: selection, optimization, and compensation. Think of a legendary elderly painters. They might select fewer pieces to play, practice those specific pieces much more intensely. That's optimization. And intentionally play the slower tempos a bit slower so the fast tempos sound even faster. By contrast, compensation, This is successful aging in action. And that wraps up our talk today, guys. I hope you have a great time listening and hearing my voice. You guys have a great day.